TSN presents Labatt's Blue Jays baseball from Exhibition Stadium in Toronto. It's the first game of a 4-game series between the Tigers and the Blue Jays. Brought to you by Petro-Canada Dealers and Agents. Our energy is Canada. And by General Motors of Canada, who says join us at the 1988 Calgary Winter Olympics. Welcome to Exhibition Stadium in Toronto. Buck Martinez, this is like a 7-game World Series for the East Division pennant. How do you see it?
Well, Fergie, I think that Tony Fernandez is a big key in this series. If he gets hits, it'll force Sparky Anderson to pitch to George Bell. Also, the depth of the Blue Jays bullpen really is a plus for the Blue Jays.
It'll be Jack Morris at 18-9 going against the left-hander Mike Flanagan at 5-7. So stay with us for this all-important contest.
Back at Exhibition Stadium, Jimmy Williams, this is the series everybody's been waiting for, and you're in a great position right now. This is where a lot of clubs would like to be.
Well, we feel good about our club, Buck, and certainly we had a tough road trip, but a good road trip. Detroit did too, but like you said, it's coming down to what it looks like a 7-game set with these people. Of course, we have 3 with Milwaukee that are going to be tough too, but we have to take them one at a time right now and play this club.
Jim Clancy really pitched a great game, and that gave you a break. The whole bullpen is rested coming into this series.
I think better than a good game. I think he pitched a great game, and you know, he struggled a little bit early with his control, but after the second, third, fourth inning, he really got his pitches together, got out in front of the hitters, and like you said, it really picked up our bullpen because him going the distance saved a lot of arms for us.
I don't think any clubs in baseball match up as well as these two.
Haven't seen him for a while, but I guess maybe you people do your homework and you match him up the way you want to. We're going to go out and perform the best we can. I know Sparky's club's going to do the same because they have some veterans over there who are having good years, and we feel we have some veterans over here that are doing the same thing along with our kids.
Thanks, Jerry.
All right, Buck, and thank you.
Sparky Anderson, back in spring training, you said this was your best ball club, but I don't know if you expected him to be here right now.
Buck, I think most people thought I was throwing some of that stuff that I do occasionally, you know. I did. I thought it was our best club since I was there because we had better pitching. You know, and anytime you got better pitching, I think you're always a better ball club. And I felt that in my 9 years at Detroit, this was our best ball club. And I think it's worked out that way. We're not going to win as many games as the '84 club, but I can describe the Toronto club's won 93 right now. If this same stage in '84, with the way they're playing, I think they'd have 103 wins right now. I think any club now, if they were playing in '84, I think there's that much improvement in the American League, in the Western Division and our division, that you'd be 10 games better.
Sparky, Doyle Alexander's made a big difference for you.
Well, somebody asked me the other day, have you ever seen anything like that? I said, no, I'd never seen perfect before. You know, this has been perfect. He started 9 games. We've won all 9. And he's 8-0, so I don't know what more you can do. Run a man out there 9 times, and you got 9 wins. Him and Terrell, since the All-Star break, are 19-2. Now, that helps managing out pretty good. You know, I always kid with the guys, and I was kidding with Tanana yesterday. I said, boy, you become a good manager with guys like this.
Sparky, good luck to you.
Thank you, Buck. It's going to be a lot of fun, and it's going to be a great 7 games.
You're watching Labatt's Blue Jays baseball on TSN.
The schedule makers couldn't have had a better finish. A 7-game showdown with the 2 best teams in the division and maybe all of baseball. Mike Flanagan starting for Toronto, and this is the lineup he'll be facing. Brought to you by Res 50. 50 years of double-barrel protection.
For the Detroit Tigers, Lou Whitaker will lead off, play second base. Madlock got his 2000th hit last night. Alan Trammell, MVP. Lemons in center field. Brookins at third base is hitting .556 over the last 3 games. Mike Heath will do the catching.
As far as the defense is concerned, Bell, Mosby, and Rick Leach is in right field. Barfield is not starting tonight. He's the only Blue Jay with a career .300 average against these Tigers. Mullenix, Fernandez, Liriano, Upshaw, and Ernie Witt doing the catching. Ken Kaiser will be the home plate umpire. Jimmy McKean down at first, Tim McClellan, and John Shulot. The show is about to start. Lou Whitaker will step in for the Tigers. Flanagan makes his 21st start of the year. He's 2-1 with the Jays. He's not faced Detroit this year. but he does have a 12-10 lifetime record. 2 strikes to Whitaker, and he's a leadoff hitter, Buck, who strikes out a lot, over 100 times already this season.
Well, he makes a lot of things happen, and he's got good power, so I think that's what's indicative of his strikeout total. There's the story. Penetrates.
He punches it over Tony Fernandez's head. Base hit. Center field.
You know, Whitaker looked like he was hobbling a bit going down the first baseline. They have some problems with some of their legs. Kirk Gibson, most notable. Watch this breaking ball that Whitaker just throws the bat at. Loops it over Fernandez's head at shortstop. He's on. They'd like to get a lead early.
Flanagan had Whitaker completely off balance in that batter's box, but he managed to punch it to center field for a base hit. Bill Madlock.
Madlock questioning that call. Madlock's the type of guy that can handle the bat. Whitaker with good speed. They like to get things happening early.
That was a back out of play, so Flanagan's ahead of Madlock 0-2. Well, Madlock's a guy that gave this team a lot of momentum when he was acquired in June. And he got his 2000th career hit last night off Bruce Hurst. Chop foul.
Flanagan is really the type of guy you'd like to see going in an opening series like this, opening game of a series. He's a veteran pitcher. He's coming off some injuries that hampered him early in the season, but he's fresh. He didn't pitch in May and June.
Madlock looks at a called third strike.
What a nice pitch by the veteran left-hander. He drops the curve ball over the plate. Madlock can't pull the trigger. Kenny Kaiser rings him up for the first strikeout for Mike Flanagan.
Kirk Gibson steps in. He has been playing with a hamstring injury. He didn't play last night in Boston. And he has been hot.
You know, Sparky Anderson mentioned that Gibson had a bit of a leg problem and he was hampered by that slow track in Boston, but he also said if you're not sore this time of the year, you haven't played hard.
Inside to Gibson.
And Gibson is such an intense individual, gets out on the field and gives it his all. And he does run hard. In that Tuesday game, he had 4 hits, scored on a couple tough plays at the plate, really putting out 100%. Came up a little lame.
Flanagan jammed him on that pitch. Gibson spent an hour on the trainer's table. And there he is, Sparky Anderson, the man who'll be our guest on Extra Innings after this show tonight. He began managing the Tigers back in '79 and probably the most popular of all managers. And of course, Sparky managed right here in Toronto in the International League. He goes back a long way. Chopped down to the shortstop. Fernandez, one play to Gibson. The throw is wide, goes into the dugout. Whitaker will go to third, Gibson at second. And you talked about Tony Fernandez earlier, and how serious is that knee injury, and how much will it hamper him?
I don't think it's a serious injury. It's just going to cut down his range. You see, he made a good play, but it was off balance when he threw the ball to first. He's the master of making great off-balance throws, but that one was wide of the mark at first base. Tony obviously slowed up by that knee problem, and it'll be an important thing to watch during this series.
And that'll bring up Alan Trammell. Trammell on a 12-game hitting streak, and he has done it all for these Detroit Tigers. So right away, Mike Flanagan is in trouble here in the first inning. The Tigers as a team, and they're going to walk Trammell to load the bases, but the Tigers as a team hitting over 300 in the first inning, and they put a lot of clubs away in the first inning this season.
Jimmy Williams getting the opportunity to pitch around Trammell right in the first inning. Trammell has done it all for the Tigers, as you mentioned, Fergie. But they're going to put him on base with Lou Whitaker at third. He was on base hit to left field. Kurt Gibson down at second. He reached on Fernandez is there. And there's Alan Trammell.
So Tony Fernandez has been charged with an error. The bases are loaded. Larry Herndon is the batter. Herndon on a 5-game hitting streak. He hasn't played that much this month of September. Pitch is inside.
Herndon has been very, very successful against Flanagan. He's 5 for 8 over the last 2 years. He got off to a great start. He's got his average up to 327. 8 home runs.
There's a strike. So Gibson has been given a base hit, and an error has been charged to Fernandez. Back out of play. The count, a ball and 2 strikes. Nice crowd here tonight, somewhere in the neighborhood of 40,000. The Blue Jays have got a chance to hit the 2.8 million mark this year, and they've got to average about 44,000 for their final 7 dates.
Herndon has grounded into 11 double plays this year, and Flanagan's looking for that 12th one right now. Bases loaded, 1 out, top of the first.
Pops it up in the infield. Fernandez will call for it. 1 down. Well, the strikeout to Madlock. That's 2 down here in the first inning. With the bases loaded, Chet Lemon, the center fielder, will step in. What a way to start off a ball game, Buck.
You know, it's exciting. You got to like, if Flanagan gets out of this inning without any runs given up, that'll be tremendous momentum for the Blue Jays. This is an important at-bat for the Tigers right here.
Lemon is also on a 5-game hitting streak. He's the type of hitter who's moved off the plate. He'll hit to all fields.
He's a free swinger.
Chop foul. A ball and a strike.
Flanagan really in a jam early, but with that pop-up to Herndon. And now Lemon at the plate. Didn't get out of this situation unscathed. Boy, they'll have a leg up on it tonight.
Here's the 1-1 pitch. Hit down to Fernandez. He'll go to Liriano. They get the force from Trammell. The Blue Jays get out of the inning and leave the bases loaded. And look at that crowd. We're heading to the bottom of the first. No score here at Exhibition Stadium in Toronto. You're watching Labatt's Blue Jays baseball on TSN. A big right-hander, Jack Morris, at 18-9, makes his 32nd start of the season. He's 0-1 against the Blue Jays this year. And this is the lineup he'll be facing, brought to you by Rust-Oleum, the premium paint for metal.
For the Blue Jays, Liriano in his familiar leadoff spot. I mentioned the key in this series, in my mind, Tony Fernandez. If he gets on base, Sparky Anderson will have to pitch to George Bell. Ernie Witt, 8 home runs in September. He's swinging a hot bat. Willie Upshaw has come up with some key hits down the stretch. His average isn't where he'd like it to be, but boy, he's come up with some timely hitting. And rookie Fred McGriff and his 20 home runs. That's 9th.
As far as the defense is concerned, Gibson, Lemon, and Herndon in the outfield. Brookins, a real battler down there at third. Trammell, who's neck and neck with George Bell for the MVP in the American League. Lou Whitaker at second. Evans at first. And Mike Heath, the catcher.
Jack Morris has had a bit of a rough go recently, roughed up a couple times by Milwaukee, but he's the man. Look at those innings pitched and hits. He's tough in the big games, and that's what he's got on his hands tonight.
Well, he's won more games in the decade of the 80s than any other major league pitcher. He's 12-7 lifetime against the Blue Jays. As I said, 0-1 this year. He lost 5-3 in Detroit. That's the game that Rance Mulnix hit a couple of home runs off, and Cerruti got the win. base hits.
The Tigers know that Jack Morris will keep you in the ball game. They're 20-11 in games that Morris has started.
He's the workhorse of that Detroit pitching staff. Nelson Liriano will lead it off.
This is a new look for the Blue Jays since these two clubs faced one another. Nelly Liriano, the leadoff hitter.
Buck, it's been 11 weeks since they've last met.
There's that split finger pitch that goes down.
This program, protected by copyright, any use without permission is prohibited. Morris ahead of Liriano. No balls and 2 strikes. So a strikeout registered for Jack Morris.
That'll be something to keep your eyes on, is that split finger pitch, how well it works for Jack Morris. It's always an effective pitch for him, but he threw 2 for Nelly Liriano. The bottom just fell out of him.
Mosby has been hot the month of September. He's hit safely in 13 of his last 14 games. These two teams have played 6 games so far this season. They've each won 3. For the month of September, the Blue Jays are 16-5. Detroit 15-7. Gives you an idea of how well the Blue Jays have played this month. Changeup that Mosby fouled back.
Big crowd here tonight. Thursday night, first game of 4. You can see that the interest is high. Mosby had a couple of RBIs in last night's game to raise his total to 94. It's a career best.
The first game is always the most important in a series. It usually sets the tone, doesn't it?
Heath and Morris are having a bit of a problem with the signs, it looks like. You know, there are certain pitchers around baseball that are just winners. Thoroughbred pitchers that can go out there no matter what they've done in recent games. You put them in a spot in a tough game and they'll come up with a good one, and that's the type of pitcher that Jack Morris is.
A chopper down to Evans, the first baseman. He'll flip it to Morris. 2 down. That'll bring up the shortstop, Tony Fernandez. And what a year Darrell Evans is having. 31 home runs. He's driven in close to 100. Probably the best hitter on this team.
Got a great eye at the plate. First guy over 40 years old to hit 30 home runs in the majors. First guy to hit 40 home runs in both leagues. I don't know if he's ever going to stop.
Fernandez hitting .320 against the Tigers this year. As Buck said, Fernandez has to get on to set the table for George Bell.
Tony's always trying to get comfortable with his stance. Look at the hit leaders.
3 behind Trammell.
Fernandez. Tony's a pretty good student of hitting. He's always trying to get comfortable, and naturally with his knee problems right now, he's trying to make some adjustments at the plate. Looks like he's opened his stance up a little bit to face Morris tonight.
3 balls, no strikes to Fernandez with George Bell in the on-deck circle.
I don't think everybody at this ballpark is waiting for this confrontation. George Bell to face Jack Morris. Tony knows what it's all about, too. He's going to make sure he gets a good pitch to swing at. He's not going to be free swinging up there. He's going to give it a good look.
And Flanagan, who makes a fine running catch. It looked for a moment like it might be a gapper. And look at the expression of Jack Morris's face. He thought it would be a base hit. No score after 1 here at Exhibition Stadium. You're watching Labatt's Blue Jays baseball on TSN. Detroit will be sending up their 7th, 8th, and 9th hitters here in the second inning. They left the bases loaded in the first. No score after 1. Over 40,000 fans to watch this opening game of the 4-game series. The Blue Jays with a half-game lead over the Tigers. And what it all boils down to is a 7-game series between these two clubs. While the Tigers will play Baltimore 4 times, the Blue Jays will play Milwaukee 3 times after this. And the way Baltimore playing, you know that the Tigers should win all 4. But Milwaukee have been tough on the Blue Jays this year. A shaky first inning for Mike Flanagan. Gave up a couple of hits and the bases loaded.
Well, both hits were of the chink variety. They were dunked in there. Whitaker hit a one-handed blooper over the shortstop's head. Gibson hit a roller to shortstop that he beat out. Fernandez was charged with an error when Gibson made it to second on the overthrow.
Evans hitting just 154 against the Jays this year. 94 walks. You've got to pitch to this guy. You've got to throw strikes. Fouls it back out of play.
Evans is a good low ball hitter. He likes the ball down and out over the plate. Flanagan will have to get his breaking ball over to Evans and try to run the fastball in on his hands.
It's interesting, Flanagan ahead, a ball and 2 strikes, and a guy like Evans, he rarely swings early in the count. He'll usually look at a couple of pitches.
He figures that Flanagan's going to be around the plate most of the night.
And he gets Evans. The second strikeout for Mike Flanagan.
Darrell Evans doesn't strike out that often for a power hitter, but Flanagan drops a big breaking curveball on the outside, and he's out in front of it. You saw a 2-part swing right there as Evans was out in front of his curveball.
Tommy Brookins. Every year he starts out, he's usually the utility player in Detroit. And he always ends up playing regularly.
They're always trying to replace Tom Brookins, and he won't let them. He's a gutty little player that can come up with some clutch hits for you.
A high chopper. That's a foul ball. And Molyneux makes a nice play. They get him at first, but Jimmy McKean made the call. But the third base umpire, John Shulock, called it a foul ball.
Jimmy McKean at first base, all he can do is watch the runner coming down the line and make the call. He's not going to look up to see if it's fair or foul. Molyneux makes a great play on this ball, just outside the line at third.
He got a lot of leverage on that throw, too, didn't he?
He sure did. Real close to the line, but look at Shulock immediately calling it foul ball. Right on top of the line. The player's got to go ahead through the play. He can't turn around and ask the ump, what do you think? It's throw it. Worry about that call later.
A ball and a strike to Brookins. Mosby straight away in center field.
Look at the defense. Fernandez and Liriano straight away and deep. Molyneux even with a bag at third.
That out into right field. Leach will come in a few steps and make the put out. 2 down. That'll bring up the number 9 hitter, catcher Mike Heath. Matt Noakes, of course, a left-handed hitting catcher, sitting on the bench tonight with 29 home runs, 80 RBIs. That's one of the advantages of throwing a left-hander. Take Noakes out of the lineup. the middle. Fernandez can't quite get to it.
Once again, Tony Fernandez's knee possibly keeping him from making that play. It was right over the bag at second. We've seen him make the play before. Heath beats it into the ground, but Fernandez slowed by that gimp knee, can't catch up with it.
Wouldn't surprise me somewhere down the line you might see Manny Lee playing shortstop, and they might DH Fernandez. Have you thought about that one?
Manny Lee is a very capable defensive shortstop, but if you do that, you really sacrifice a Fred McGriff's bat or a Cecil Fielder's bat.
That's hit out into left field by Whitaker.
What's that?
Bell is coming. He makes a nice running catch. So the Tigers leave one stranded here in the second. No score after an inning and a half. You're watching Labatt's Blue Jays baseball on TSN. No score here at Exhibition Stadium. Detroit and the Blue Jays. How much of a factor will this wind be tonight, Buck?
Well, I think it's going to be a swirling wind. It goes, looks like it's coming in from center field, and it'll be caught by the stadium and shoot it around the infield out towards left. So it'll be an unpredictable ball up in the air, I think. I think you're going to really have to converge on the fly balls to make sure that everybody is in the area, because that wind is swirling out there, and the stadium left grandstands really causes some problems.
So here's the confrontation, George Bell and Jack Morris. And Bell had a few words with home plate umpire Ken Kaiser. I wonder what that was all about.
Just talking about the excitement of this series, I'm sure. There's that split-fingered pitch that Bell is going to have to be patient with.
Bell hit his 47th last night against John Habian in Baltimore. Race to left field, base hit, George Bell.
That man right there is some kind of hot right now. Let me tell you, Jack Morris makes a pretty good pitch with a breaking ball. He goes right down, gets it. Big part of the bat on the ball, and hits a rocket to left field to start the second inning for the Blue Jays.
Ernie Witt with 19 career home runs off Detroit pitching. And hitting fifth in the lineup. Bell at first. Nobody out.
Morris and Heath seem to be a little bit confused about what they want to do. They've gone through a couple sets of signs. I'm not sure that Jack Morris is seeing them all that well.
Well, his all-time favorite catcher is playing in Philadelphia. Lance Parrish.
Yeah, but it's time to forget about that.
Yep.
This is who he has to throw to right now. You can see they're still having trouble communicating. Get their heads together.
Change up.
That can be very disruptive to a pitcher. Stepping on the mound, getting one sign, shaking it off, getting another sign, shaking it off, trying to have to go all the way through all the signs to get the pitch you want. That can really throw off your rhythm.
If Morris could get that changeup in there early in the count, it'll be that much tougher. 3 balls and no strikes to Witt.
Anderson knows that Jack Morris is going to have to pitch a good game. He doesn't want to go to that bullpen.
Four straight balls to Witt. And that'll bring up Rance Mullenix, who earlier this year hit 2 home runs off Morris. You know, you look for different guys. Who's going to be the hero in the 7-game series? Will it be one individual who will jump right out and carry a team? Could it be that man right there? Could it be a Rance Mullenix at the plate?
Well, I think any situation, anybody that's in the lineup has a chance to be a hero, because they're going to be such well-played ball games. Two fine clubs, two very aggressive managers.
Hit in the left field. Gibson comes in. It's hit right at him. And he's moving pretty good out there with that hamstring injury.
I tell you, he's a tough football player. You can't get him out of the lineup. He's got a bad leg. It's wrapped up, but that's no problem for him as he's out there. He wants to be in this series. He's not going to sit on the bench. Got all winter to get well.
He made a good running catch off Fernandez in the first inning. So with one down, the right fielder, Rick Leach, will step in. Leach has just one hit in 7 appearances off Detroit pitching this year, and that was a single. A surprise starter tonight in my mind.
You're not the only one that's surprised. I thought Jesse Barfield had started to swing the bat a little better. Granted, he's not driving the ball. He's not hitting home runs, but Jimmy Williams got Rick Leach in there tonight. I'm sure that Leach is very happy for the opportunity to play against his former teammates.
Well, the only right-handed hitter in the lineup, of course, is George Bell. A ball and a strike to Leach.
Just overthrowing a bit right now. You know, no matter how many times you've been out there, the adrenaline flows in games like this. He's just got to get his delivery down. Fastball, slider, split finger, changeup.
Inside, and Morris has really lost the strike zone. There's a comparison between Trammell and Bell, and you can see there's not too much difference when you look at Trammell with his 27 homers, 100 RBIs, with the game winners. Doubles are close, runs scored, average.
No question, the most valuable players to their respective teams.
Yep.
Trammell at shortstop, playing every day. You know, he and Whitaker have combined for the longest middle infield combination in the history of baseball. This is their 10th year together.
The bases are loaded. And that'll bring up Willie Upshaw. Sparky Anderson, a little concerned with what he is seeing out there right now. Morris can't seem to find the strike zone. He has walked 2 here in the second. Bell let it off with a single. Mullenix lined out to Gibson in left.
You can see there's a little levity out there. Say, what's going on out here, Jack? He says, I don't know. I just can't find the strike zone. You've got to mix up your pitches. Stay down in the strike zone. Straight up, he wanted to know if you wanted me to wind up or go from the stretch. He's going to pitch from the wind up. They want him as comfortable as possible.
So George Bell is down at third. Ernie Witt over at second. And Rick Leach at first. Upshaw the batter. One thing you've got to watch for, too. Morris has thrown a lot of wild pitches this year. 21 to be exact. Pops it up in the infield. Whitaker will go out to shallow center field. 2 down.
Well, Morris got Upshaw to pop up with the bases loaded. And now he'll be facing rookie Fred McGriff. Believe me that Jack Morris can pitch. He was wild. He walked Rick Leach on a 3-1 count. Came right back and made a good pitch to Willie Upshaw.
This man right here has got a pretty good eye at the plate, although lately he hasn't played all that much. He has struck out quite a bit. 7 times in his last 15 at-bats.
He's going to get that split-fingered pitch from Morris.
Oh, no doubt about it.
Starts out low. McGriff's a low ball hitter, but Morris will try to start it at the knees and let it break down from McGriff.
So the Tigers had the bases loaded in the first inning. They couldn't score. And now the Blue Jays here in the second have the bases loaded. Let's see what they can do with it.
There it is right there. Split finger. Morris starts out at the knees, and it breaks down and away from McGriff, and he went after it. Mike Heath is probably as good as anybody behind the plate in the American League on balls in the dirt. He's a real Tiger after him, gets in front of himself. He'll keep that ball in front of him.
That's exactly what he did. A ball and 2 strikes to McGriff.
This gives Jack Morris an awful lot of confidence. He knows that Heath is very good on the balls in the dirt. He can go ahead and throw that split-fingered pitch as hard as he wants to, knowing full well that if he misses with it, he wants to miss down, and he's got the confidence in Heath to keep it in front of him.
Two balls and 2 strikes. Away from Heath, but Bell heads back to third and dives in. A full count.
See Jack Morris acknowledging Heath's good play. Watch the position of Heath here. Glove down in the dirt, chest protected forward. He has his eye on it. Morris breaking to the plate to cover.
Talk about excitement. Listen to this crowd.
It's only the second inning.
The runners are moving. McGriff watches a called third strike.
Jack Morris crossed up young Fred McGriff and threw a fastball right down the middle. He couldn't pull the trigger. Cuts the heart of the plate. Ken Kaiser rings up McGriff, and the Blue Jays trail 3 at the end of 2. No score in Toronto. You're watching Labatt's Blue Jays baseball on TSN. Now let's go to TSN Control.
Dick Krasuski coaching down at first. 8 years in the major leagues as a utility infielder. And Alex Grammas down at third. Grammas played with the Cards, the Reds, Cubs. Got 10 years in the big leagues. No score after 2 at Exhibition Stadium. Madlock, Gibson, and Trammell will face the left-hander, Mike Flanagan. Flanagan lost his last start in New York 4-1. He went 6 1/3 innings in that one. Gave up only 5 hits. He walked 4, struck out 4. But the Jays are 3-1 in his 4 starts. That's hit to left field. Bell has got to come in, and he can't get to it. It's off the end of the bat.
George Bell broke back on this ball. He saw the big swing, thought it was going to be hit on the nose, but it was hit off the end of the bat. And his first step was backwards. Watch Madlock swing. It's a big swing, but he catches it off the end of the bat. Bell backs up, now has to come hard, and it's going to fall in front of him. I think that wind knocked it down a little bit, too.
Oh, with the way that wind is blowing in from center field, I think it's going to be difficult to hit a ball out in left or center field tonight. Gibson got on with a single, and an error was charged to Tony Fernandez. the plate.
The Labatt's player of the game for Detroit will receive the Canon Sure Shot Supreme, the only camera in its class with case and 5-year battery at no extra charge. Sure Shot Supreme, so advanced every shot's a sure shot. As well, an amateur baseball team will be the guest of the player of the game and Canon at a future game. Well, Flanagan was trying to buy some of the outside corner with that fastball up around Gibson's letters. Push him off the plate a little bit.
Flanagan, the perfect candidate to start tonight for the Blue Jays. A former Cy Young winner in '79. He's been in the Championship Series and the World Series. So he knows really what pressure is all about. We've got lots of it here tonight.
Well, these are the type of games players like to play in. You're in a pennant race. You've got a chance to go to the playoffs, eventually the World Series. And I tell you, they're exciting games to be in.
Hit down to Liriano, could be two. They've got to hurry. Gibson's speed gets him there.
Liriano and Fernandez have really turned a double play well, and Madlock got on top of Fernandez down at second base. Watch Madlock coming hard in here. Stays right on Fernandez, and he rolls.
A roadblock, if ever there was one.
That's good old-fashioned baseball. You don't see that very often. Madlock could get to second base. There's really nothing wrong with that, as long as you can reach the bag. Tony's saying that he was way outside, but he wasn't that far away. Madlock, he's played his days in the National League, and they play a little bit different style of baseball over there. And he come down hard on Fernandez, and unfortunately, Fernandez hit his elbow on the turf. Watch Madlock. He's not that far away from second base at all. Now he just turns at the end. You can see his feet. He can still get to the bag. There's nothing wrong with that at all.
Now here comes Jimmy Williams.
What happened is Fernandez hyperextended his elbow, I believe. Madlock just went in there hard trying to break the double play up. See, Tony thinks he was way away from second base, but I don't agree with that. I don't think he was that far away from the bag. Jimmy Williams discussing it with Jim McKeon. He's the first base umpire who had the best shot at the line.
And where's McKean going? Oh, they showed that play on the scoreboard, and right away, the umpires, they're calling upstairs. That's what McKean is doing, saying we do not want controversial replays on the scoreboard.
Well, you know, there's so much excitement. The fans in this series are both really hyped up about it. There's no need to send something like that up to the scoreboard, because obviously the umpire's judgment is in question with this. Fernandez has raised the point. Listen, I think he was out of the baseline. Jimmy Williams went out there to ask him, and Jim McKeon quickly countered with, hey, Jimmy, we don't want you to send this up to the scoreboard. We don't want to see it on the scoreboard. We're not going to add anything to this explosive atmosphere the way it is. It's good baseball. There's no reason to put it on the scoreboard. Richie Garcia made that point here
He was going
earlier
to
in the
pull the
season.
umpiring crew, too.
Look, at Fernandez still thinks that Madlock was out of the baseline. He's pointing to the dirt. He says, yeah, he was way out of the baseline. I think he was.
Cut his right sleeve off. It looks like he's coming out of the ball game.
Evidently, he hit hard on that turf. You know, there's a 2x4 that is the border around the dirt area. And that 2x4 is very hard, and there's a couple of ridges on the sides of it. And he might have just landed right on the edge of that.
There's no question he's in pain. And out comes Manny Lee.
Watch it one more time here as we look at the replay. Madlock, in your mind, can he get to the bag there at second base? He finishes up. He hits Fernandez hard right on that seam. That's exactly what he did. He came down on that seam of that 2x4 around the dirt area. Manny Lee comes on to take Fernandez's place.
Well, he's an outstanding young defensive shortstop. And all of a sudden has been thrown into this crucial series with the Detroit Tigers. And that might be the play of the year.
It wasn't so long ago that you would have even been more concerned about it than you are now, because Manny Lee has come so far as a defensive player. He's gotten some hits in this September month. Defensively, I don't know that Lee might not have a little more range than Fernandez, simply because Fernandez is hurt right now.
Well, there's no question about that. So Alan Trammell, the shortstop, will step in. One down here in the third inning. Gibson is down at first. He's got 24 stolen bases, but remember, he's got that hamstring injury.
Fergie, I don't think that leg is bothering him one bit. He's got it wrapped up. We've seen him run hard in the outfield, and we saw him beat that double play ball out just a moment ago.
Trammell hits it high in the air, but Bell will have to come in. He's got it. 2 down. That's a big out. That'll bring up the right fielder, Larry Herndon. Herndon popped up to Fernandez back in the first inning, so he's 0 for 1. Herndon's power is to right center field, so Mosby will shade to right. Flanagan holding Gibson tight at first.
If Gibson were going to run, this would be a good time to gamble with 2 outs and Herndon at the plate.
Line into center field, base hit. Gibson will stay at second. Mosby does a nice job getting that ball back in.
Larry Herndon got on top of this Flanagan fastball. Flanagan got it up and out over the plate a little bit too much. Larry Herndon singles into center. So he's on base with 2 outs. Here's Gibson down at second base for Chet Lemon.
Lemon hit into a fielder's choice to end the first inning. Base hit, left field. Bell's charging the ball. They're sending Gibson in. The throw's way off. The Tigers score. Bell will be charged with an error as the runners move up third and second.
George Bell had a good shot at Kirk Gibson as that ball was hit on the line. One hop right to George Bell. Chet Lemon, first pitch hitting. Watch the ball that bounces right to Bell. He's charging hard. 2 hops. Gibson's just now rounding third base, and Bell lets one fly. You can see it tailing away from home plate. Ernie Witt can't put a glove on it. Flanagan has to back up. Gibson comes across with the first run. Watch this throw now. Bell has good position, but it just comes off his hand, and he cuts the ball. It sails away from Witt.
Witt had trouble getting away from Kaiser.
It's tough to get around Ken Kaiser.
Darrell Evans, the hitter. He struck out in the second inning. He's jammed and fouls it back. 1-0, Detroit leading.
Chet Lemon makes amends for leaving the bases loaded in the first inning and gets the Tigers on the board here.
Blow it away. Evans tied for 7th in the American League with 31 home runs. He's jammed again.
You can see Evans is laying back, trying to stay back for that Flanagan breaking ball that he struck out on in the second inning. He knows Flanagan has a good breaking ball, and he's trying to stay back, wait as long as he can. Might make him vulnerable to a high fastball if Flanagan reads that and feels like he can get one in there.
Gets away from Witt. come in to score. 2-0 for Detroit.
That was a breaking ball that goes right through Ernie Witt's legs. Watch here. He doesn't get down on it. Doesn't smother the ball or keep it in front of him, and Flanagan will be charged with a wild pitch. Sure, that's a ball Ernie Witt feels like he should have had. He never got down, never had good position to block the ball. He left his glove up off the ground, and the ball snuck right between his glove and the dirt.
You've got to block those balls. Inside. It's a full count. They have scored that, a wild pitch. So Tony Fernandez out of the ball game. Manny Lee is in playing shortstop. Set up in the infield. Mullenix will hardly have to move for the third out. But the Detroit Tigers are 3 base hits, score a couple of runs, and lead the Blue Jays 2-0. You're watching Labatt's Blue Jays baseball on TSN. Billy Smith and John McLaren, as usual, at first and third. As we go to the bottom of the third inning, Liriano, Mosby, and Manny Lee will bat. The Tigers with 2 runs, 1 earned, and 3 base hits. Take a 2-0 lead.
And you can purchase Blue Jays tickets for all remaining.
Well, you can throw out all the records and everything that has happened over this past season. We're down to the short strokes. A 7-game series between the Blue Jays and the Detroit Tigers.
By purchasing your ticket at the advanced.
And it should be a great one. Sparky Anderson, the seasoned manager, who will be our guest tonight on Extra Innings. There's the number to call. Write that down and give us a call collect. On after the game, Sparky will be our guest. Liriano will lead things off. He struck out in the first inning.
Leading off the third for the Blue Jays, the second baseman, number 2, Nelson Liriano.
Liriano has hit safely in 21 of the 27 games that he has played since he was called up from Syracuse. He's done a nice job in the leadoff spot. Takes a strike from Jack Morris. He's got a couple of home runs, too. One off Al Leiter and the other off Dave Leeper. Morris quickly ahead 0-2.
You can see how Morris has smoothed out his delivery, found that strike zone, and boy, now he's a tough man when he's posted to a 2-0 lead.
Oh, what a play by Darrell Evans, and he can't find the ball. He made a great stab and stopped that shot off the bat of Liriano.
Well, you know he's a lifetime third baseman who's just moved over to first in his later years, knocks it down, can't find it. Frustration. He knows he had a shot at him at first base if he could have found it, but couldn't come up with it.
They'll have to give Liriano a base hit on that one. The Blue Jays so far only have 1 hit off Morris. For Liriano, that was his first hit. George Bell's got the other one. Mosby grounded out to the first baseman, Evans. He's 0 for 1. Chop foul. Mosby's had a nice second half, hasn't he, Buck?
Oh, he's put together some great numbers over the year overall. 311, 10 homers, and 38 RBIs for the second half, combined for a 24 home run, 94 RBI year.
Both career highs.
You know, he only needs one more run for 100 runs scored. Got a shot at 100 RBIs.
And remember all the talk in spring training about the Blue Jays possibly trading Mosby?
Wanting to get one of the young kids a chance to play in the outfield. Mosby's only 27.
Liriano dives back in. Hey, you sometimes forget that. This is his 8th year with the Blue Jays.
Got a chance to contend a long time, this Blue Jay club.
A little closer this time.
That ball's up a little bit. Evans can make a quicker tag on it. Liriano's way out there. He's got a good lead. Morris is aware that Liriano's only been caught twice in 10 attempts. Mark Salas of the Yankees has thrown Liriano out twice. Only catcher to get him.
He always said that Salas's arm wasn't that good.
He hadn't thrown well, but boy, he made 2 great throws there in New York. Got Liriano, the 9th inning of that Thursday night game, and in the 1st inning of the Friday game.
There goes Liriano, and he stole that one off the changeup. Keith had no chance.
Liriano picked a good pitch to run on as Jack Morris was going with the changeup. Good jump at first base. Looking right down, concentrating on second, but Heath can't even throw. Big changeup. Took a long time to get to home.
Heath is throwing out about 39% of the runners. He's done a good job back there.
Good quick release, strong arm, very active behind the plate. We saw him block a couple balls early.
Oh, Morris slips. And it's ball 4 to Mosby.
Jack Morris loses his footing. You can see that he looked like he just simply missed his landing spot, and his front foot went out from under him. Alan Trammell will go in there and talk over the situation here. You've got to believe that Manny Lee will be bunting.
That's for sure. Nobody out. Liriano at second, Mosby at first. So Brookins, the third baseman, he's in.
You know, with George Bell behind him, if he's successful, Sparky has said time and time again that he would walk Bell.
Pitch is outside. The throw down to second, and Liriano gets back in there.
You won't see many catchers around the league throw as well as Mike Heath on that play. Liriano's going to have to be aware of that. John McLaren over at third base is going to have to keep him alert. But Heath anticipating that play. Good footwork. Right on the money to Trammell, but only Liriano's alertness gets him back. Look, he's out there, hangs up just for a second. Heath takes advantage and takes a shot down there.
Fouls that one back. So it's a ball and a strike to Manny Lee. Manager Jimmy Williams, there's not much he can do about it. He'll take the sacrifice bunt, and if they want to walk Bell, he's got to hope that Ernie Witt will come through for him.
Exactly. He's got to sacrifice trying to get those runners to second and third.
Look at Evans moving right in, and he fouls off another pitch.
Manny Lee is really not in very good position to bunt. He turned around and had his bat down around his thighs. It wasn't ready. I know Jimmy Williams preaches the bunt. Keep that bat up in front of your letters, square around, kind of crouch over and bend aggressively into it.
We don't know how serious Fernandez's injury is.
Watch this now. He's got it around his waist. It should be up there around his letters so he can get ready to bunt.
Strikes him out. One down, and that'll bring up George Bell. There's another way of looking at it. That might might be the best thing that's happened, because they're going to have to pitch to Bell now.
Tony Fernandez going to have x-rays on that elbow. Fell on the turf when Bill Madlock was breaking up a potential double play at second.
Well, you saw when he came off the field, he tried to bend it and almost went down to his knees. Bell singled in the second inning. Pitch is in the dirt. I would think that Morris is not going to give Bell a good pitch to hit.
Well, he's going to try to make him hit his pitch. No question he wants to keep it away from Bell's wheelhouse, but unfortunately, Morris's strength is down in the strike zone, and that's the same place George is strong, low out over the plate. Morris is going to have to try to run the ball up and in to Bell. Everybody knows you got to crowd George Bell, as we saw Al Leiter in New York trying to crowd him, knocked him off the plate. Next time up, Bell took one way back into the bullpen area in Yankee Stadium.
This is quite a battle. Morris against Bell. Now Bell steps out. Detroit leading 2-0. We're in the third inning. Over 40,000 fans here at Exhibition Stadium to watch this first game of a 4-game series. And change-up. Bell waited nicely, too.
Boy, George Bell stayed right back on that pitch. It's got to be the last thing on his mind, that slow blooping changeup. Watch how he keeps his weight back. He throws the pitch, now he stays back and still had a pretty good cut at that ball. You've got to believe that Jack Morris sat down with Doyle Alexander at some point today to discuss the Blue Jay hitters.
You can bet on that one. Hit into center field, a fly ball. Lemon's coming. It's going to drop in. And they're going to hold up. Liriano at third. The bases are loaded.
That's the same thing that happened to George Bell in left field on Madlock's drive. Big swing off the end of the bat. Lemon's reaction is back, and now he's got to come hard. He knows he can't make it. He checks up, plays the ball off the turf, and Liriano had to hold up. He can only go to third. Mosby's down at second, and Bell's on at first for Ernie Witt. Bell's second hit of the night.
The bases are loaded. One down. Ernie Witt, the batter. He walked back in the second inning. The second time tonight the Blue Jays have had the bases loaded.
Boy, if that's a nice job. Instructional film on how to block the balls. Mike Heath, perfect position, puts his glove right down on the dirt, keeps that ball in front of him. That's a point of pride for a lot of catchers. They don't want that ball to get by him. You saw it caught his bare hand. He had his hand in position to scoop everything in front of him. He caught it off the bare hand, but kept it in front of him.
Witt's got 17 RBIs in his last 15 games. He's been hot. Ernie hit his 19th home run of the season last night off Havian in Baltimore.
Well, the table set for his third grand slam.
I remember he hit one in Detroit where he hit it off the top of the fence with the bases loaded and it bounced back into play. He missed it by about an inch. A changeup that's low. He's throwing that changeup a lot tonight.
He's looking for a ground ball. He wants the ball down in the strike zone. Witt's a high ball hitter. He likes that ball right over the plate. Morris will probably come with a split finger pitch here.
Base hit, center field. Here comes Liriano. Here comes Mosby. The play at third. Safe. Bell. It's tied up at 2. Done it. He's come through in the clutch to tie this one up.
Well, Ernie Witt's going to have to get some base hits if they're pitching carefully to Bell, but he comes through with a liner into center field. Lemon's only play to third base trying to get Mosby as 2 runs come across. and tie the game at 2.
Now Mullenix will step in. He hit a rope into left field in the second inning that Gibson made a nice running catch on. Bell at third, Witt at first, 1 down. It's tied at 2. Dickie Knowles in that Detroit bullpen.
Boy, they're putting him to work quickly. He saved the game in Boston on Tuesday night. They just acquired him from the Cubs.
He went.
Dickie Knowles came in to face White Evans with the bases loaded through 2 pitches. Got a save in Boston. And Sparky is going to go right to him. That's been a problem for the Tigers since the All-Star break, that bullpen.
I'll tell you, Heath is having a real workout back there tonight, isn't he?
He's all over the place, Morris is. He just can't really find that groove.
This crowd is really fired up now that the Blue Jays have come back to tie it up. Hit deep to left. Gibson going back. It's up off the top of the wall. Bell will score. Witt is being held up at third, and Lance Mullenix missed a home run by about 2 feet.
Mullenix hit an opposite field home run off Morris the last time he faced him in Detroit, and once again he goes with this pitch and just comes within a foot of hitting one out of here. Caroms off the fence, and Gibson plays the hop. Witt goes into third. Mullenix is on with the double.
And George Sparky Anderson is out to talk to his ace hurler, Jack Morse, with the Blue Jays leading 3-2. They've had 4 hits in this inning, and they've scored all 3 runs. There's a walk sandwiched in there to Lloyd Mosby.
They're talking about walking Rick Leach to pitch to Upshaw. They want to get their minds together. Sparky's telling Morris what he wants him to do. He's got first base open.
You can see how cold it is. Sparky wearing those gloves.
Let's see what they do. They got Willie Upshaw to pop up to second base in the second inning with the bases loaded. They're going to put Leach on and pitch to Upshaw.
Oh, the bases will be loaded. The first baseman, Willie Upshaw. And Upshaw's been swinging a hot bat this month for the Blue Jays. He's got 3 home runs, hitting around 280. And he hit a grand slam earlier this year off Robinson in a game in Detroit. So with 1 down, Ernie Witt talks to third base coach John McLaren. Lance Mullenix with that booming double off the left field wall. And Leach with his intentional walk. It sets the table for Willie Upshaw.
Well, Upshaw faces Morris for the second time with the bases loaded and 1 out. Last time Morris won the confrontation.
Time has been called.
I don't think Heath had finished the signs as Morris started to wind up.
A strike to Upshaw. Boy, what excitement in his first 3 innings. Fans already have their money's worth.
How many runs is that he saved for Morris? But that's where Morris is going to have to pitch. He throws that split finger in the dirt like that. Hitters can't lay off of it. He's got the confidence in Heath, and Mike Heath is doing a whale of a job behind the plate. Morris will continue to throw that ball down there. That's where that split finger is most effective.
Pitch is outside. A ball and 2 strikes to Upshaw. Goes down on strikes.
Jack Morris is not about to concede this game. He makes a great pitch to Willie Upshaw. That split finger comes up there like a fastball, and at the last minute dips out of the strike zone. Upshaw couldn't lay off of it.
Number 4 for Jack Morris. That brings up Fred McGriff, who struck out in the 2nd with the bases loaded.
And Kaiser checking that baseball. Once again, tosses it out of the game, and now the table's set once again. Same situation last inning. Fred McGriff up, 2 outs, bases loaded.
Question is, did McGriff learn anything in his first at bat? Once again, he blocks that pitch.
A lot of that is confidence. Look at that position. Glove right there. That's a instructional film.
Tell you one thing, he'll be the sorest guy in town after tonight's game.
Morris and Heath have really got their heads together on Fred McGriff. They're throwing that split finger down out of the strike zone. Busted him inside with fastballs up above his belt.
That one gets away from Heath, and here comes Webb. He's safe. Morris didn't get the tag down.
Jack Morris got all twisted up trying to cover home. Watch Heath. He bounces on it. He gets to it quickly, but watch Morris as he comes to home. He gets his feet tangled up, can't turn around, and he stumbles and falls away from home plate. Ken Kaiser right on top of the play. Great position. Morris has the ball in plenty of time, but his momentum carries him away from home plate, and Witt slides in there safely.
It is 4-2 now for Toronto.
Heath made a nice throw, didn't throw it too hard, led Jack Morris, and Morris got turned around, and his momentum just carried him away from the runner, and he couldn't cover home plate.
That ball only bounced about 10 or 15 feet away from home plate.
Nice job of base running by Ernie Witt.
Yeah,
He
he's not
anticipated.
the swiftest guy in the ball club either.
But you know, he has thrown so many balls in the dirt, you got to look for that every time as a runner at third base, and Witt alertly comes across the plate. But Morris had a shot at Witt. He just got his feet tangled up at home plate.
4-2, Toronto leading. Now McGriff will run, and he fires it down to Evans to get him. So for the second time, McGriff strikes out tonight. But the Blue Jays do a nice job scoring 4 runs on 4 base hits and a walk as well as an intentional walk. There it is, 4-2. You're watching Labatt's Blue Jays baseball on TSN. Now let's go to TSN control. Mike Flanagan has given up 6 base hits, a couple of runs, 1 earned through 3 innings. As we go to the fourth, Brookins, Heath, and Whitaker will face the left-hander. The Blue Jays sent 9 men to the plate in the third inning. 4 runs, 4 hits, and they left a couple on. Well, we talked about the 21 wild pitches that Morris had thrown coming into this game tonight, and it has really turned out to be a factor so far, Buck.
Oh, no question about it. Although Mike Heath had blocked that last one just a short distance away from home plate, Jack Morris couldn't put the tag on Ernie Whitt.
Tommy Brookins flied out to right field, so he's 0 for 1. Detroit with 4 games here against the Blue Jays, and then will head home for their final 7 games. That evens it up at 1-1. The schedule maker couldn't have had a better finish, I think.
Darrell Evans around the cage before the game says, you know, it looks like they stopped it in September and said, okay, you 2 guys are going to play the last part of the season. But it's worked out perfectly. Great baseball in the last part of September. 2 great clubs.
Upshaw should have a chance. Leach coming. He makes the catch. Nice play, Rick Leach.
Rick Leach really had to come hard on this ball. It's curving away from him down the right field line. The wind is pushing it towards the seats, but he makes a backhanded grab right in front of the wall.
You look at Leach, he doesn't have the speed, doesn't have a great arm, but he seems to get the job done.
Oh, he does. He's a great player. You pick his spots and you put him into situations, let him play right field now and again, and get his bat up to the plate in some key situations, and he really performs well.
The catcher, Mike Heath, singled in the second inning.
I think he's a little pumped up to play this Tiger Club, too.
Yep.
Originally
he used to play
signed
for Detroit. We'll have a lot of fun in the offseason, won't he? If the Blue Jays can knock off the Tigers.
He can speak at a lot of hot stove dinners, that's for sure.
Now, tomorrow night, Frank Tanana at 13-10. He's already got 2 victories over Toronto this year. We'll go against Jimmy Key at 17-6. But Tanana lately has not been pitching well. Walt Terrell will go on Saturday at 16-10 against Dave Steve, 13-8. Doyle Alexander, 8-0, will pitch Sunday's game. Jimmy Williams has not named his starter for Sunday. When you look at Terrell and Alexander, they're 19-2 since the All-Star break. Terrell is 10-2. That's Terrell right behind Sparky Anderson. Punched out into right field. Leach will not have far to go for this one. 2 down. It's a little easier this time around for Leach, isn't it?
Yeah, almost in his tracks.
40,000 plus here tonight at Exhibition Stadium. You know, Buck, you and I went into the dressing rooms a few times before this game, and I didn't feel any tension, did you?
No, I wasn't nervous at all, Fergie. I don't think so. These clubs are 2 good clubs. They know they have played well all summer long. No reason to be tense. Just go out there and play good baseball.
Punched into center field. Mosby calls for it. An easy inning for the left-hander Mike Flanagan. The Blue Jays lead 4-2. You're watching Labatt's Blue Jays baseball on TSN. A 4-2 ball game. We go to the bottom of the 4th inning here at Exhibition Stadium in Toronto. Blue Jays leading. Liriano, Mosby, and Manny Lee will face the right-hander Jack Morris. Morris earlier this year ran off a string of 9 straight wins. He missed a start August the 6th. He's gone 6-3 since then. Liriano 1 for 2 tonight with a stolen base, and he has scored a run. A single in the third inning. He started it off for the Jays. They scored their 4 runs. So Morris ahead in the count. No balls, 2 strikes. Seems like every year he's a Cy Young candidate, isn't he?
He's the most dominant pitcher in baseball in the 80s. Consistent. Very durable. 7, 8 innings every time he goes out there.
That's his 6th strikeout, and that'll bring up Lloyd Mosby. He walked and scored in the 3rd, grounded out in the 1st. We talked about momentum earlier on. The first game always the most important in a series. A changeup. Mosby went after off the end of the bat. He's got a chance. He's safe. That's a ball maybe Brookins should have let go.
He felt like he had a shot of it. It's quite a ways away from the line, but he came in, charged it hard, but Mosby's good speed, and he beats it out. Brookins made a pretty good play on that ball.
I think you're right.
I don't think it would have gone
rolled
foul. It was a couple feet away from the line and closing in on the dirt area down by the bag at third. He made the right choice, but Mosby's speed won out.
Shortstop Tony Fernandez was injured earlier in this ball game. Matty Lee slaps one down to Trammell. He backhands it. And they get the force at second. Nice play by Trammell.
You look at that play right there. He goes into the hole, backhands it, turns, fires a strike to his partner at second base, Lou Whitaker. And folks, that's a shortstop that drives in 100 runs.
That'll bring up George Bell with Manny Lee down at first. Bell is 2 for 2, as you can see tonight. He scored a run in the 3rd. Morris has had 1 easy inning, the 1st. He retired the side in order. Blue Jays left the bases loaded in the 2nd, left 2 more on in the 3rd.
Bell's just in a streak now where he takes a good swing at just about every pitch he sees. His weight is back. Naturally, he's got a lot of confidence. He's hitting the ball well right now, but he's patient enough to know that he can stay back and still quick enough to get inside. Watch this inside pitch. Morris misses inside. Thought he had made a pretty good pitch. Kenny Kaiser called it a ball off the plate inside. The natural progression of pitching would indicate that Morris would go with an off-speed pitch, but he could really cross Bell up right now if he goes back inside.
Here's the 2-1 pitch. Line up the middle, base hit. Manny Lee is heading for 3rd. Look at Morris over in front of that Blue Jay dugout.
Just a great piece of hitting. George Bell felt he was going back out over the plate, and he sends it right up through the box. Morris has to duck out of the way as he hit that slider right into center field.
Well, Sparky Anderson said earlier today that he wouldn't let George Bell beat him. Bell right now is 3 for 3 tonight. And Ernie Witt, who had a big single, a couple of RBIs in the 3rd inning, will step in. Manny Lee at 3rd, Bell at 1st. Off the end of the bat, but it is foul.
You know, thinking about Bell hitting against Sparky Anderson's club right here reminds me of the Cincinnati Reds, New York Yankees matchup when Thurman Munson had such an outstanding playoffs against Sparky Anderson's club, the Big Red Machine. He kept saying, man, can this guy hit? He admires great talent, and that's what he thinks about George Bell. Bell's such an outstanding hitter. Sparky Anderson said, if Bell's got a chance to beat me, I'm going to pitch around him. He simply has 3 singles. He really hasn't had an opportunity to pitch around him the way the ball game has been. He's always come up there with a runner on base. Manny Lee reached on a fielder's choice that last time up.
Chopped down to Evans. He makes a nice backhanded stab. Goes over and makes the unassisted put out. So the Blue Jays will leave 2 more stranded here in the 4th inning. And still lead it 4-2. You're watching Labatt's Blue Jays baseball on TSN. A 4-2 Toronto lead through the first 4 innings as Detroit manager Sparky Anderson is sending out Jimmy Morrison to pinch hit for Bill Madlock. So Tony Fernandez obviously is not the only one injured here tonight.
Madlock must have injured himself sliding into Fernandez at second base. Taking himself out of the game, Sparky Anderson sends up Jim Morrison, who was acquired from the Pittsburgh Pirates in a deal to bolster their right-hand attack.
Morrison's got that long uppercut swing that you'll see. Takes a strike from Flanagan.
Morrison's a low fastball hitter, likes the ball down out over the plate. He's got good power. Over from the Pittsburgh Pirates.
Hit out into right field. Rick Leach got to come in a few steps. Oh, he'll make the catch. He seemed to battle that ball.
I think the lights over the Blue Jays dugout came into play on that little looping fly ball off the bat of Morrison, and he had to duck down to try to get it out of that light. Watch how he kind of dodges his head around, trying to get his head out of the way of those lights. Yeah, that's exactly what it was.
Yep. That'll bring up Kirk Gibson. He's 1 for 2 tonight. He's 5 for 12 lifetime off Flanagan. So he doesn't have too much trouble hitting left-handers.
Well, he stands right on top of the plate. He's really close to the plate. Just tries to go back up the middle with left-handers.
Out in front of that one and drives it into the stands foul.
He's one of those type of hitters that can look so bad on one pitch and hit the same pitch 9 miles during the same at-bat. He's so strong. He's one guy I was always concerned about coming around third base in the play at the plate. He runs so hard and is so big.
The report on Madlock is that he hurt his chest. That pitch is high as Gibson was thinking about laying one down. 2 balls and a strike.
Well, Madlock did a little body block into Fernandez trying to break up that double play. Gibson had hit a ground ball to second. Madlock slid into second base and hit Fernandez. Probably got a knee in the chest.
Gibson leads this Tiger ball club in strikeouts. The count is 2-2. He's got 9 hits in his last 16 at bats. Tells you how hot he's been. Strikeout. Number 3 for Flanagan. 2 down. That'll bring up the shortstop, Alan Trammell.
Big sweeping curveball. Gibson waves at it. Can't keep a hold of the bat. Goes out towards second base.
Trammell comes into tonight's game 3rd in the American League in hitting, 4th in base hits, 4th in runs scored, and you could just go on and on and on.
Wasn't so long ago that he was in the number 2 spot, batting behind Lou Whitaker. Now he's the cleanup man.
He's 6 for 10 off Flanagan, lifetime. A ball and 2 strikes.
Trammell doesn't strike you as being a power hitter. He's so relaxed and he gets so much extension, nice fluid swing. Concentration is up there and he gets a lot of leverage. He really gets that bat going through the hitting area.
He's got one of the quickest set of hands in the league, I think. Evens it up at 2-2.
Driven in 100, scored 103.
He just looked at it, started walking even before the home plate umpire, Ken Kaiser, called it a strike.
He drops that big breaking curveball in there, and Trammell caught looking. He couldn't pull the trigger.
Number 4 for Flanagan. We're heading to the bottom of the 5th. The Jays lead it 4-2. You're watching Labatt's Blue Jays baseball on TSN. Next telecast coming up, Montreal and Philadelphia tomorrow night at 7:30 Eastern, and Milwaukee at Toronto Monday at 7:30. What a series that'll be. The Brewers are in for 3 games.
Tough Brewer club. They've played the Blue Jays extremely tough.
Mullenix, Leach, and Upshaw against Jack Morris.
Mullins couldn't hold up on that breaking ball. He doubled off the top of the left field fence his last time up.
Detroit have stranded 5, the Blue Jays 7 through the first 4. If you look at the Detroit pitching staff, and when you talk to the experts, they'll tell you that where the Blue Jays, if they're going to win this series, where they'll win it is with the left-handers in their bullpen.
Well, they also have to beat this starting staff. The left-handers in the bullpen have definitely given some depth and some mobility. They can move those pitchers in and out. Wells coming up in September, done a great job. Musselman has been strong all year long. Now with Cerruti out of the rotation, he's down in the bullpen. He is a very adaptable pitcher. He can come in early. He can pitch late, short situations. But David Wells has really done a job out of that bullpen in short situations.
Since September the 1st, he's 4-1 with a save. Count remains at 2 balls and 2 strikes to Mullenix, who's leading it off here in the bottom of the 5th inning.
You know, you combine those 3 left-handers with Henke, Eichhorn, and Nunez, and that gives you a very, very deep bullpen.
It's a full count now to Rance. He's a guy who's at 341 since the All-Star break.
Early in the year, it was tough for him to find playing time.
That's right.
Kelly Gruber playing third base all the time. Fred McGriff taking over the left-handed DH spot.
Chop foul.
You know, coming out of spring training, Mullenix was supposed to be the DH. He was told he would get plenty of at-bats, but that didn't happen.
He might have had his best spring ever, too.
Oh, he sure did. Boy, he was hitting the ball well. I think that's why Jimmy Williams felt like he had to get him in the lineup somewhere. He was committed to Kelly Gruber coming out of spring training to play every day at third base. Rance Mullenix just didn't get those at-bats early in the season.
Well, he only hit 259 last year, and this year he's been over 300 most of the season. He goes down on strikes here, number 7 for Jack Morris. And speaking of strikeouts, I'd like to thank all the people who have contributed to ileitis and colitis. Over 200,000 sufferers across Canada. We've raised over $150,000 thanks to your contributions. There's the number to call if you live outside of Toronto and you too want to help strike out ileitis and colitis. For every strikeout Mark Eichhorn and Tom Henke register, people are donating money, and we thank you very, very much. With 1 down, it's a ball and no strikes to Rick Leach. Did that hit him?
No, he just did a dance and got out of the way. Morris missing inside. Watch a quick feet. Boy, that'll hurt tonight in this cold weather.
Got that one on the toe. He'd still be dancing. Minnesota leading Texas 2-0 in the 4th. There's still a pennant race going on in that West Division. Leach pops that one up. Straightaway center field. Chet Lemon will saunter in, and Lemon makes the putout. 2 down. That'll bring up Willie Upshaw.
First baseman, number 26, Willie.
Willie's had a rough night tonight. Has been up there twice with the bases loaded, popped up and struck out.
It hasn't been the kind of season Upshaw had hoped for, although he's hit 15 homers.
That's hit into center field. Lemon coming in. He's there. 3 up, 3 down for Jack Morris as the Tigers trail the Blue Jays by 2. You're watching Labatt's Blue Jays baseball on TSN. Now let's go to TSN control. Well, there's a press box that is being erected for the media who will be here in case the Blue Jays are in a championship series. Media from all over North America are here tonight. L.A., Philadelphia, Florida, New York, Boston, Chicago, you name it, they're here. The joint is jumping, you might say.
All the heavy hitters in the media.
Yep.
Bob Birdie from Chicago, Roger Angel from out of New York, Peter Gammons, Ken Picking from USA Today. They're all here.
I know they're doing a big spread in Sports Illustrated on this series.
And rightly so.
Herndon is leading it off for Detroit here in the 6th inning with the Blue Jays leading 4-2. 7 hits for Toronto, 6 for Detroit. Flanagan so far doing a nice job.
Jimmy Williams knew that this acquisition was going to be a very key one for the Blue Jays. The change-up Herndon was out in front of. Flanagan comes from a rich line of pitching tradition in Baltimore.
Oh, they've had some great ones, haven't they?
Palmer, McNally, Cuellar. Doyle Alexander pitched there for a while. He fits right in that company.
He has been absolutely incredible this year, Doyle Alexander. And he's talking to the media, too.
You know, to come over and have him start 9 games and the club win all 9 of them, that does an awful lot, not only in the standings, but confidence-wise when he goes out on the field.
Breaking ball that's outside. It evens up the count at 2-2 to Herndon.
You know, I think he can even help people like Tanana and Morris. He studies hitters so well. He really knows the weaknesses of everybody in the league.
He set down 22 in a row last night, gave up 2 singles in the 1st inning, and that was it. He shut Boston down through a 4-0 shutout.
You know, he has had a lot to do with Jimmy Key's success. He's worked some with Tom Henke. So many of these young Blue Jay pitchers would sit and watch Doyle work for the Blue Jays, and you can learn an awful lot from him.
A full count to Herndon. The last thing you want to do is walk the leadoff hitter. Flanagan has given up one walk tonight, but that was an intentional walk to Trammell in the first inning. Pitch is low. Herndon is on. And that'll bring up the center fielder, Chet Lemon.
The Labatt's player of the game for Toronto will receive the Hitachi GA400 compact disc player. Hitachi's complete line of CDs features advanced digital audio technology and the most comprehensive 3-year warranty available. Hitachi, science for the senses. As well, an amateur baseball team will be the guests of the player of the game and Hitachi at a future game.
Lemon pops that up in the infield. Liriano will call for it. One down. And that'll bring up Darrell Evans, who's 0 for 2. Struck out in the second and popped up in the third.
First baseman, number 41, Darrell Evans.
A crowd of over 40,000 here to watch this one tonight.
They predict 170,000 fans for the 4-game series.
Strike to Evans.
You got to believe that tomorrow night, Friday night, there'll be a lot of fans that'll drive up from Detroit.
So the Blue Jays looking at attendance this year of 2.7 plus. Well, the Tigers, they need to average 40,000 a game to go over the 2 million mark in Detroit. And they've got their final 7 games at home. You know they'll sell them out to the Blue Jays, that's for sure. They might have trouble, though, against Baltimore.
Well, it really depends what happens in this series.
Yep.
How big those games loom in Detroit. Look at the season attendance, 2,493,000. Evans has a good eye at the plate. We've talked about it earlier.
Here's the 2-1 pitch. Fouled off into the stands. But what an offensive machine, these Tigers. Lead the league in runs scored, home runs, walks. But they're still a half game behind Toronto. Evans goes down for the second time tonight. Number 5 for Flanagan.
Evans going out of his element a little bit. Swings at a bad pitch. High fastball from Flanagan. Flanagan has Darrell's number tonight.
The third baseman, number 16.
Went up for that high fastball.
2 down. Tommy Brookins will step in. He's 0 for 2 tonight. Flanagan had set down 7 in a row before he issued a leadoff walk here to Herndon in the 6th inning. And Rick Leach has got a long way to go again. Liriano's over there. They can't get to it. The fans might have been a little intimidating there. They're all leaning over the railing.
Well, Leach was playing into right center for Brookins, who is a bit of a pull hitter, and he had a long run to get to that ball. Liriano playing shaded towards second base, had quite a ways to go. With the count, no balls, 2 strikes on Tom Brookins. Ernie Witt out there to talk things over with Flanagan. Watch Liriano right here. Pulls up a little bit short of the fence. He comes hard. Ball bounces right on the warning track. Maybe if he goes to the fence first and then backs off, he's got a shot, but that's a long run.
Curveball just a little low.
I think Witt got crossed up on that ball. He was going outside like it was going to be a fastball, and then just at the last minute, it broke back over the plate.
Tigers jumped out to a 2-0 lead in the third, but the Blue Jays came right back with 4 in the third. And that's the way it stands. Blue Jays have won 93 games, Detroit 92. Brookins goes down. Make that number 6 for Mike Flanagan. We're heading to the bottom of the 6th inning.
Flanagan spots a fastball down and away from Brookins. Sinks right out of the strike zone, and Brookins can't connect. Blue Jays lead 4-2, middle of the 6th. You're watching Labatt's Blue Jays baseball on TSN.
A 4-2 Toronto lead. Bottom of the 6th inning here at Exhibition Stadium in Toronto. In the first game of this 4-game series with the Tigers. Freddie McGriff, who has struck out twice, will lead it off. Liriano and Mosby will follow. Jack Morris has struck out 7 through the first 5. And Flanagan has 6. It really has been a quiet month for Fred McGriff. He hasn't seen that much action.
McGriff's 2 strikeouts tonight run his season total to 101. And that's just in 287 at-bats. But he still chipped in with 20 home runs.
Yeah, and he's only had 26 plate appearances in the month of September. Cincinnati defeating San Diego 5-4. And Philadelphia over Chicago. Rose started that one. Atlanta beating Houston 8-7. McGriff pops up. Brookins, the third baseman. Can he get it? No.
Brookins got right to the fence. And watch the fan reach over here. John Shulock is right with him, the umpire. Brookins now finds the tarp, leans in there, and he just missed it. That fan never really came into play. Shulock indicating no interference. Just a little bit too far over that tarp. Generally, that tarp is down the first base line, and Brookins generally doesn't have to contend with that. They've moved it over to third base.
The Expos beating the Mets tonight. That's a big one. 4-1. We're in the 5th inning. It's Montreal 4 games back. Mets 2.5 back of the St. Louis Cardinals. McGriff fouls that one back out of play. A full count to McGriff. Outside, he's on with a walk. He will lead it off for the Blue Jays in the 6th. And that'll bring up the second baseman, Nelson Liriano, who's 1 for 3, and he has struck out twice tonight. Sparky Anderson will go as far as he can with Morris. He's got 12 complete games this season.
Liriano's a good bunter. Brookins well in at third base, looking for the sacrifice. Morris is a good fielder in his own right. Nelson a single in 3 trips tonight. There's Brookins charging down the line.
Lays down a nice one to play to second, and they get the force on McGriff. That bunt was about 3 feet, 4 feet in front of the plate.
Mike Heath, quick to get out of the chute. Liriano pops it up a bit right out in front. Nice place for Heath. Quickly out there, strong arm throws a strike to Trammell to force McGriff at second base. Detroit bullpen starting to work. Mark Thurman, the left-hander.
Mosby's the batter with one down. Liriano had a stolen base back in the third. He's got 9 this season. Pitch is low.
You got to feel that Liriano's going to try to work for a good lead off Morris. If he can steal second. 9 for 11 now.
Little cat and mouse.
Good cut by Mosby on the fastball from Morris. Evens the count at 1-1.
The Blue Jays really had Morris on the ropes back in the third inning when they scored their 4 runs. And they left a couple stranded as Morris struck out Upshaw and McGriff to end the third. Had a base hit there, and they could have put Morris away. Nice play by Evans, and he'll go to second. Back to Morris. He drops the ball.
Darrell Evans made an outstanding play at first base. Watch how quickly he gets rid of it and throws it to second. Nice play. Throws a strike to Trammell on the inside of the bag. Trammell relays to Morris covering first, and Morris simply can't hang on to it. He was trying to look at the first base bag, took his eye off the ball and dropped the ball, but what a nice play by Evans.
He sure has had trouble with his feet tonight, hasn't he?
Covering home plate
Yeah.
on a wild pitch.
He had a chance back in the third inning. He had Ernie Witt out at home plate, but he got tangled up in his feet and couldn't make the tag. Now Manny Lee steps in. Lee came in for the injured Tony Fernandez. There goes Mosby. The throw by Heath is off the bag. Nice job of covering by Whitaker. He knocks it down, but Mosby will go to third. A stolen base and an error to catcher Mike Heath.
Mosby got a good jump. Low ball. Heath hurried it a bit. The tail's inside the bag. Whitaker is in position, knocks it down, and then drops it. Mosby on to third base.
Chopped down to Evans, and he'll go over and touch the bag and get Manny Lee at first. So the Blue Jays holding on to a 2-run lead here through the first 6 innings at Exhibition Stadium in Toronto. You're watching Labatt's Blue Jays baseball on TSN. 4-2, Blue Jays leading through 6 innings here at Exhibition Stadium in Toronto. Mike Heath will lead it off for Detroit in the 7th inning. Heath tonight, 1 for 2, a single back in the second. Chop down to Monix, and he makes a nice leaping save. Well, we've got some bad news for Blue Jay fans. Let's go back and look at Tony Fernandez and Bill Madlock at this play at second base.
Madlock comes down and hits Fernandez on the legs. Watch Fernandez's elbow. It goes down and hits that seam of the turf.
And we've just been informed that Tony Fernandez is now on the operating table. He has a displaced fracture at the tip of his elbow, and he will be lost to the Blue Jays the remainder of the season. What a blow for the Toronto Blue Jays. Fernandez out for the remainder of the season. A broken elbow, displaced fracture at the tip of the elbow.
Just a very, very unfortunate play. Fernandez has been hit like that before, but what had happened there, his elbow came down and hit the edge of that AstroTurf just around the dirt area at second base. And hit just on the right spot to cause a displaced fracture.
Jimmy Morrison, a veteran utility player that Detroit picked up midway through the season, is hitting for Madlock. He injured his chest when he slid into Fernandez.
Couldn't check his swing on the curveball, and he's behind. No balls, 2 strikes. Jim McKean, the umpire at first base.
So what a blow for the Blue Jays. Tony Fernandez is gone for the season.
Check it out again. Now watch Fernandez's elbow. Down by the turf, there's a seam. Watch how it hits right in that seam. That seam is a 2x4 wrapped with AstroTurf. It's a border around the dirt area.
That's popped up in the infield. So 2 down, and that'll bring up the left fielder, Kirk Gibson.
Number 23, Kirk Gibson.
Boy, that's a tough blow on the Blue Jays, losing Tony Fernandez. You hate to have any of your players go down. Tony is such an integral part of this team that it could have an emotional effect on the team.
Sure could. It's a guy who's been playing injured. He was injured against Cleveland August the 8th. He's had a bad knee. He is close to 200 hits. Manny Lee, who was brought up September the 1st, they'll have to make him eligible for the playoffs if the Blue Jays happen to get in.
That's right. You have to replace a player with a similar player. You can't replace a shortstop with a pitcher. I know there's a lot of thoughts about David Wells.
That's hit out into center field. Mosby broke back, and it'll drop in for a base hit. So Whitaker is down at third, and Gibson at first with his second hit of the night. And that'll bring up Alan Trammell.
Mosby didn't read this ball off the bat. I don't know if the outfielders are having trouble tonight, but he broke back, and it was just a little blooper that fell in front of him in center. Naturally, he was playing deep to respect Gibson's power, but he broke back initially. David Wells, the left-hander, is loosening up down the left field line for the Blue Jays. Craig McMurtry's the right-hander.
So Alan Trammell steps in. He's 0 for 2 tonight. He fouls that back out of play. 2 down, 7th inning, but the Detroit Tigers are threatening. Trammell up here in a crucial situation. Trying to keep alive his 12-game hitting streak. Get a base hit, score a run, move the Tigers closer. Inside, 1-1. Here's a guy who's hitting close to 450 for the month of December. I mean, he has done it all.
And you know, these guys come up to the plate in crucial situations. Seems like the script was written for them. MVPs come through.
Gibson back at first.
Good players might not win out in this confrontation, but when you're having a year like Trammell, they relish these situations. They love to come up here with the game on the line.
Base hit, left field, and that'll score Whitaker. It is 4-3 now, and that'll probably bring a trip to the mound from Blue Jay manager Jimmy Williams.
You know, Trammell gets him back in the ball game, continues extend his hitting streak to 13 games, drives a run in, brings the Tigers within 1 run with a 2-out single. Nice fluid swing, not trying to hit a home run, just trying to get that run in from third with 2 outs. He took what he could get. Jimmy Williams checking with the bullpen, now making his way out to the mound. He's got David Wells ready. McMurtry, the right-hander, has been throwing, but he hasn't pitched since being called up September 1st, and I believe that Wells is the man that Williams will call for should he want a reliever at this point. Yeah, you can see McMurtry sat down just getting some throwing in.
Well, if you bring a right-hander in from the bullpen, of course, there's lots of left-handed hitters sitting down there in that Tiger bench. So David Wells, who's had 4 wins and a save,
Mike Flanagan
September the 1st.
has really done a lot to win the affection of this Toronto crowd. He has done a job tonight pitching himself into the 7th inning. Leaves after 6 2/3. Has the lead 4-3. He's scattered 8 hits.
So here you are in the heat of a pennant race. And there's a young rookie, David Wells, who has been sensational this past month. 11 1/3 innings. He has struck out 19 and given up just 1 earned run. That's the kind of job he has done.
I don't think David Wells realizes he's supposed to be under some pressure. He has done a job up here, seems to be oblivious to pitching in the big leagues. He's out there with confidence, goes right after the hitters. He doesn't waste any time. He's got an outstanding fastball,
He
good
really
breaking
does.
curveball. And he has been, oh, such a bonus here in September.
The key with his blazing speed has been the fact that he's been able to throw strikes. Remember, he came up earlier this year and made a couple of starts. They were both losing ones. And they sent him back down and sent him right to the bullpen in Syracuse.
And he responded well. Boy, he got it together down there. There you look at the situation. Blue Jays up by a run, top of the 7th. 2 runners on and 2 outs. Kurt Gibson's down at second base. Alan Trammell's at first base. He just drove in the 3rd run for the Tigers and brought them to within 1.
So Herndon will face the left-hander, David Wells, a 4-3 ball game.
In a situation like this, Herndon, a veteran hitter, doesn't have a feel for David Wells. All the scouting reports in the world can tell you he throws hard and he's got a good breaking curveball. But I think a pitcher has the advantage in a situation where they haven't faced one another.
Rolled inside for a ball. Herndon's power alley is right center field, and that's where Mosby plays him. A base hit will tie this one up. And a fastball for a strike.
Herndon's a good fastball hitter. Wells has a good fastball. He's right close to 90 plus. He came in with runners in 2nd and 3rd in Baltimore and struck out Terry Kennedy.
He was late on that swing. So Wells is ahead, a ball and 2 strikes.
This is what I mean about a pitcher having the advantage. Now Herndon has seen a pretty good fastball from Wells. He's going to think, I've got to tune it up a notch. And Wells has that curveball in reserve that Herndon hasn't seen before. He saw it on the first pitch, but now he's got it in Herndon's mind that he throws hard. He might come right back with that good fastball, but Wells has still got a sharp breaking curveball and a pretty good changeup that Herndon hasn't even seen yet.
Gibson at second, Trammell at first. 2 down, 7th inning, a 4-3 ball game. Blue Jays leading. Evens it up at 2-2. Frank Tanana against Jimmy Key tomorrow. Walt Terrell on Saturday against Dave Steed. That one will be on CTV. And Sunday's game will also be televised on CTV. Without question, the biggest series of the year. It's a 7-game showdown between the Tigers and the Blue Jays. And this one's on the line right here. Here's the 2-2 pitch. Hit right at Manny Lee. Manny Lee! And listen to that ovation. He's the guy that's going to play for Tony Fernandez now. And he made a great save.
What a nice play by Manny Lee. He times his jump perfectly, gets high in the air, and takes an RBI single away from Larry Herndon. Would have tied the game up with Gibson at second. So, in the middle of the 7th, Blue Jays 4, Tigers 3. You're watching Labatt's Blue Jays Baseball on TSN. Now, let's go to TSN Control.
The shortstop Manny Lee brought this crowd of over 40,000 to their feet with that great catch off the bat of Larry Herndon. The Blue Jays leading by 1. And George Bell swings through that first pitch off Jack Morris. Bell tonight is 3 for 3. What a ball game. A changeup that's outside.
You can hear the fans in the background chanting MVP. Trying to get some attention for Bell. MVP.
A ball and 2 strikes now to Bell. Tony Fernandez lost for the season. Right now he's on the operating table. Dr. Alan Gross operating on his elbow. Pops him up in the infield. Brookins, the third baseman. And the catcher, look out! There's a collision. They dropped the ball.
No, they didn't. Mike Heath made the catch. What an unbelievable play by Heath. This guy's a bulldog, let me tell you. The wind kept bringing it towards home plate. Brookins keeps drifting and drifting and drifting. Jack Morris should have been in here directing traffic. But watch, Heath hits it. Now look at his concentration. He flips it in the air with his bare hand and dives for it with his glove hand and makes a great play.
He sure did. And Ken Kaiser punches out Bell.
Here's another angle on it. Watch how Brookins keeps drifting. The wind blows it towards home plate. Now Heath knows he's got to come and help out. No communication. Look at that. Flipping in the air, makes a grab. Guy's had a great night tonight.
These catchers are sure tough, aren't they?
I tell you, it's good to see him back in the American League. He had a tough time over there with the Cardinals.
Ernie Witt had a big base hit back in the 3rd inning. 2 RBIs and a single. One down, bottom of the 7th inning. Blue Jays up by a run.
Jack Morris has really knuckled down. He's a thoroughbred out there. He'll keep you in the game. Sparky Anderson knows that. Here he's got himself a 1-run ball game.
And back to the shortstop, Trammell, and they get Witt at first base. That'll bring up Rance Mullenix, the 3rd baseman. Mullenix tonight is 1 for 3.
Ernie Witt gets jammed a little bit on this pitch and just kind of loops it towards shortstop Trammell. Makes a nice throw to Evans, and Witt's retired. Boy, you talk about colorful personalities on these 2 clubs. George Bell, of course, Jack Morris, Doyle Alexander, 8-0. We could write stories about these 2 clubs for the rest of the winter.
These 2 teams haven't met in 11 weeks. And oh, how both clubs have changed. Pitch is low to Mullenix. Well, they haven't put it up on the scoreboard here yet about Tony Fernandez, and I'm not sure that they will, but if they do, you'll hear a moan in this crowd, believe me.
It's an unfortunate circumstance, freak accident. More often than not, you would think AstroTurf seam on the infield and an ankle or knee injury, but Blue Jays are served an unfortunate break when Fernandez breaks an elbow.
Well, that's what makes it such a great organization, the Blue Jays, though, when they can reach down, and they've got a guy like Manny Lee, and you saw the play that he made off Herndon, and you know how well he plays defensively, so they don't really lose all that much defensively.
The one thing they miss is that number 3 batter that Fernandez has proved so important down the stretch. He has done such a great job since moving into that 3 spot. Now Jimmy Williams will have to shake up the lineup. There it is in a nutshell. Detroit 1/2 game behind the Blue Jays.
2-2 pitch is low.
Defensively, the way Fernandez was slowed by the knee problem, Manny Lee can handle that. No question about it.
Rick Leach in the on-deck circle. He's had a couple of walks tonight, and we talked about him being a surprise starter. He was a surprise to you and I, but certainly not to manager Jimmy Williams. Barfield, the only Blue Jay, with a lifetime average of over 300 against Detroit, and he's sitting on the bench. 42,436 here tonight. They're sold out Saturday and Sunday. That pitch was inside. Mullenix went after it for Jack Morris, his 8th strikeout of the ball game. So we're heading to the 8th inning, and the Blue Jays are trying to protect that 1-run lead. You're watching Labatt's Blue Jays baseball on TSN. Peter Gammons has dropped by from Sports Illustrated. He's in town to do a big spread on this series, and what a series it is. Peter, it's a great pennant race, isn't it?
Well, it is. We haven't had anything like this, really. It's the first time since 1980. It's the only time in the last 10 years that we've had a pennant race go down to the last week of the season with teams playing one another.
And what a blow to the Blue Jays. Tony Fernandez out for the rest of the season.
Well, sometimes teams rally together when those things happen. Like Reggie Jackson in '72, the A's went on and won the World Series after they lost him. And every once in a great while, it can be a rallying point for somebody.
Garth Orge, who hasn't played since August the 31st, that was his last start, is in defensively down there at third base. Lemon is the batter. 8th inning, and Blue Jays leading 4-3. That's it high in the air to right. Leach back to the warning track. He's at the fence, and he makes the catch.
Chet Lemon gave it a ride right to the base of the fence in right field. Rick Leach goes right to the wall. Finds the wall, makes the grab. Lemon goes down. There's Tom Hinkie. He's loosening up for the Jays down left field line.
Darrell Evans steps in. And Peter Gammons, how do you see this series?
Well, I thought that this game was an extremely important one for the Tigers because it is Morris. The reason I've liked the Blue Jays to end up winning this thing out of these two series is the bullpen depth. It's awfully hard to keep the Blue Jays away from getting into 5, 6, 7-run situations for very long, and their bullpen is so far superior to the Tigers that I think it really gives them an advantage.
Here's the 1-1 pitch to Evans, is low for a ball.
That's why Morris staying in this game tonight was so important. One thing the Tigers do not want to do is have to get into their bullpen in the first game of this series.
Two balls and a strike.
I think it's a pretty good indication of just how the bullpen has struggled for the Tigers, and that Dickie Knowles just acquired from the Cubs is really their #1 man right now.
Exactly. I mean, he went from sort of wandering around Wrigley Field to being he and Henneman are their bullpen now.
That's right. Henneman, of course, has done a great job.
It's tough. He's a rookie, and he's thrown, what, 220 innings since last September with the instructional league and winter ball and everything. And there's a wearing point there where a kid throwing sidearm that much.
And Jeff Musselman went through the same thing for the Blue Jays.
With one down, it's a full count now to Darrell Evans. A chopper down to Upshaw, the first baseman. He'll flip it to Wells, and they get the second out. The strength as far as the Detroit Tigers are concerned, they've got lots of it. We'll get to that in just a moment. $2.5 million. That's a season's attendance record for the Blue Jays, and they've got a chance to get 2.7, 2.8 million here this year. So what a season it has been for Toronto Blue Jay fans. The Tiger strengths. Their starting staff, without
their
question.
Starting pitching is really good, and they've got so much depth. You know, they're so much like the Orioles used to be, with so many different things. The one, again, though, the Blue Jays bullpen does have a tendency to be able to negate some of that left-right strength that they have, because the Blue Jays can keep running out Musselman and Cerruti and Wells, and to go with Eichhorn and Henke.
What about that guy right there in the corner, Doyle Alexander? He's no stranger here. He's been awesome. As Brookins fouls that pitch back out of play, it's a ball and 2 strikes with 2 down.
You know, Peter, David Wells coming up and pitching the way he has is very similar to the way Schiraldi pitched for the Red Sox last year, although it wasn't for the same length of time, but the effectiveness is very similar.
Oh, definitely. I give Jimmy Williams a lot of credit for giving Ward and Wells a chance when they came up. That's something that the Dodgers always did. You know, they brought Fernando up one pennant race, and the guy threw 17 consecutive scoreless innings, and you can't be afraid if you have talent to bring it up in September and throw it in there in short periods of time.
Okay, Peter Gammons from Sports Illustrated. Thanks for dropping by. Nice to see you in covering this series.
Thank you.
The 2-2 pitch is hit out into right field. Leach going back to the wall. He can't get to it. Brookins will round second, and he'll stay there. So the Detroit Tigers, with 2 down in the 8th inning, have the tying run in scoring position.
Tommy Brookins continues to swing a hot bat. Lloyd Mosby can't get to it. Neither can Rick Leach. And Brookins has a 2-out double to keep the inning alive for the Tigers. Mosby comes hard. Gets right to the track. Can't really get it. It hit about a couple feet away from the fence. Neither one of them could come up with it.
So now Mike Heath, the catcher, he's 1 for 3. Now Brookins at second, 2 down. Pitch is out of the strike zone.
You know, Jimmy Williams might normally want to have Henke in the game in a situation like this. Wells has thrown well enough to deserve a shot, but they also have Matt Noakes over on the bench, the left-handed power-hitting catcher for the Tigers.
That's hit into center field. Mosby's got to go back. He's got it. Mosby broke in and then hightailed it back to make the play.
Mike Heath hits this one on the nose. Looks like it's headed for the alley. But Lloyd Mosby really got a good jump on it. Runs it down. So the Jays hold their 1-run lead over the Tigers, middle of the 8th. You're watching Labatt's Blue Jays Baseball on TSN.
Well, there it is. They have just put it up on the scoreboard, and listen to these fans booing.
That's the reaction the fans have, of course. Tony Fernandez out for the year. That is a blow to this Blue Jay ball club. But like Peter Gammons mentioned, you never know. Something like this could really bring this club together and give them something to unite on. Tony Fernandez suffering a tough injury tonight.
Well, the Blue Jays are just 3 outs from winning this opening game, as Leach takes a ball from Jack Morris. Four to 3, Toronto leading. Leach right at Darrell Evans, who short hops the ball and makes the putout.
Evans has had a great game down at first base. He's made some fine defensive plays.
First baseman, number 26.
Not bad for a guy in his 40s, is he?
Sharp one hopper right to Evans. Makes the scoop. Goes over and
Well, you got action in that bullpen. Willie Hernandez on the right, Mike Hanneman on the left. Hanneman, the right-hander, he's done a nice job. He's 9-2 with 6 saves. Willie Hernandez has struggled this year. He's 3-3 with 8 saves. Certainly not the Willie Hernandez that we saw back in '84.
Sparky Anderson has basically only used Hernandez to face one left-hander, maybe 2 left-handers, and trying to avoid having Hernandez face too many right-handed batters.
There's that changeup that Morris throws for a strike. He's been missing with his changeup a lot tonight. Trouble throwing it for strikes. One down here in the 8th inning. That evens up the count at 2.
That tag play at the plate when he lost his balance, couldn't make the tag on Ernie Witt. He had plenty of time, but his momentum carried him away from the sliding Witt. He couldn't put the tag on Witt.
And right now, that's the winning run in this ball game. Morris has allowed the Blue Jays just 7 hits. While the Tigers have collected 10 hits. 9 off the starter, Mike Flanagan, who went 6 2/3 tonight. Gave up 3 runs. 2 of them were earned. He struck out 6 and walked 2. It is cold and windy here at Exhibition Stadium. Over 42,000 watching this one. As Upshaw fouls another one back into the stands. Hanke continues to throw in that Blue Jay bullpen. And I would say that Wells will come out for the 9th to start it, because you've got the left-handed Lou Whitaker leading it off. Then Morris and then Gibson.
You would like to think that Jimmy Williams would like to have Wells facing Gibson.
Upshaw grounds a walk. And that'll bring up Freddie McGriff. McGriff has struck out twice and walked in the 6th.
Another high changeup that's out of the strike zone, and Upshaw's on there with a 1-out walk. Fred McGriff has had some trouble tonight. 2 strikeouts. He reached on a walk last time up.
Not only that, he struck out now 9 times in his last 17 at-bats. With just 3 hits, 2 of them were home runs. There goes Upshaw. And that ball is hit down the line, but the wind will carry it into the stands.
Well, Upshaw had a great jump at first base. Griff fouled it off. Really catching Morris napping a bit, and he got a great jump. Had the base stolen, but Griff fouled it off.
Well, we've seen an exciting ball game. What a game to open up a 4-game series. It's not over yet, with the Tigers coming to bat in the 9th. 4-3, Toronto leading. Upshot down at first. 1 down. Don't forget, tomorrow night, Frank Tanana will go against Jimmy Key. Tanana 13-10. He's got 2 wins over Toronto this year. He's a left-hander. Of course, Jimmy Key 17-6. McGriff hasn't played that much this month of September. I think he's a little rusty.
Well, his 20 home runs combined with
Great
Cecil
season.
Fielder's 13, 33 home runs from the DHs, both youngsters.
Will both be around for a long time to come. The 0-2 pitch for a strike. No. Yes, it is. For a moment, the way McGriff looked, I thought the umpire made a mistake.
That was that split finger pitch
Yeah.
that broke down and away from McGriff. He thinks it's inside, breaks out with a plate. Kenny Kaiser rings him up for the second time on the night. McGriff's caught looking.
9 strikeouts now for Morris. And Liriano steps in. He's 1 for 4. Stole a base and scored a run back in the 3rd inning. Do you think they'll be sending Upshaw?
I think they're going to pitch out. I've got a feeling he's going to pitch out. And I was wrong there. Last time Liriano Mosby stole, he threw a ball into center field. Liriano had a stolen base on a changeup. Heath never had a chance to throw. Upshaw's got a good lead at first.
Outside. 2 balls and no strikes. Morris 0-1 against the Blue Jays this season. He lost back in Detroit 5-3. Cerruti got the win in that one. Mullinex hit a couple of home runs off Morris. In fact, he's given up 39 this year, which is second only to Bert Blyleven in the American League. Three balls and no strikes. With Lloyd Mosby in the on-deck circle. Well, the Blue Jays really had Morris on the ropes back in the 3rd inning when they scored all 4 runs. But he survived, and he's battling the Jays right down to the wire. Liriano is on with a walk. That's 2 this inning. And that's his 7th walk this game.
Anderson has Hernandez ready. I don't know that he might not want him to come on and face Mosby.
Morris has thrown 130 pitches.
Doesn't look like he's got any intention of coming to the mound. He's got his ace out there. He wants him to get out of this jam. He's done it before tonight, as you mentioned in the 3rd inning. He gave up 4 runs. He settled in after that. He's only allowed 2 hits from this point.
So Upshaw's down at second. Liriano at first. 2 down.
This could be a big run if the Blue Jays could get it across here in the bottom of the 8th.
There's a strike, evens up the count at 1-1. The Blue Jays 16-5 in the month of September. Detroit 15-7. There's a strike. 1-2 now to Mosby. Don't forget, Sparky Anderson will be our guest on Extra Innings immediately following this game. Henke is sat down in the bullpen. Or has he? Has he come down to the dugout? We've got to start looking for our players of the game. George Bell, of course, with 3 hits tonight, all singles. Ernie Witt had that big, important hit in the 3rd inning. Drove in 2 runs. and has scored the winning run so far if it holds up.
Grant Smolnitz with the go-ahead run. Drove in the third run of the game with a double.
Sent into the stands, foul.
Mosby had a good cut at that fastball. Upshaw with good speed on at second base. Gibson throws well from left field. Lemon throws fairly well, but boy, is he playing deep. He has really moved back in center field, and he's way back in there. He used to play quite a bit shallower than that. Stomp a lot of balls falling in front of him.
There's the 2-2 pitch outside. So Jack Morris, who has given up 7 walks so far, is looking at number 8 right in the eye.
Well, with the full count, the runners will be off and running with the pitch. Upshaw would be able to score easily on a base hit. Liriano on at first.
Inside, bases are loaded.
That'll bring Sparky Anderson out of the Tiger dugout. Jack Morris has given him a fine effort tonight.
Manny Lee's the hitter. He needs somebody that can throw strikes in this situation. Will he stay with Morris?
I think he will. Looks like he's going to. Morris has pitched his heart out. Anderson wants to make sure he's got enough. I went out to check with him to see how he felt, and I'm certain that Jack Morris said, I can get this guy.
Well, Morris has walked 8, but only 1 has hurt him. When he walked Mosby back in the 3rd inning, and he came around to score.
Remember, he stranded 3 in the 2nd. Stranded a pair in the 3rd as the 4th.
And he's got the bases loaded right here with Manny Lee. Takes a strike. Lee tonight is 0 for 2. He's had 13. This is his 14th plate appearance since September the 1st. He's had 4 hits. And a shot back at Trammell back in the 6th inning. There's another one for Trammell. He'll flip it to Whitaker, and they get the force on Lloyd Mosby. So we're heading to the 9th inning. The Blue Jays lead by 1. You're watching Labatt's Blue Jays baseball on TSN. Now let's go to TSN control. A 4-3 ball game. The Blue Jays leading in the 9th inning. Whitaker, Morrison, and Gibson, the scheduled hitters, as Tom Henke has come on to pitch the 9th inning, looking for his 34th save of the season. Against Detroit this year, he's appeared in 2 ball games. He has a save and has only pitched an inning and 2/3. Given up a hit, a home run, and he has struck out a couple.
This is the guy you want in the game. His 71st appearance. Big innings to hits ratio. Very important. Look at the strikeouts. 123 in just 90 1/3 innings. Henke saved the game in Baltimore on Monday night, going 1-2-3 in the 9th. Saved it for Cerruti. Cerruti's pitched that bases loaded situation to Fred Lynn, got him to pop up. Henke came on 1-2-3 in the 9th, and he faced Murray, Ripken, and Sheets, the heart of the Oriole lineup.
Jesse Barfield has now come into the game to play right field. Leach is out, and Barfield limbering up, sitting on that bench through the first 8 innings.
Tough night to sit on the bench and come in defensively. I'm sure Barfield had it in his mind that he would be in there late in the game for defense.
Henke has held the opposition scoreless in 28 of his last 34 appearances. This is it. The game is on the line. And Lou Whitaker has had himself a nice night. Bergman is out in the on-deck circle. He'll be hitting for Morrison. A chopper down to Manny Lee. He'll fire it across, and he comes Whitaker down.
All the confidence in the world on that play. Manny Lee comes charging hard, gets the big hop, and fires a rocket across the infield to retire Lou Whitaker for the first out in the 9th inning.
So Dave Bergman will step in. He's 4 for 16 as a pinch hitter, and he's got 3 RBIs. He's a dead pull hitter.
Dave Bergman, veteran, good left-handed bat coming off the bench.
You've got Gibson in the on-deck circle as Hanke is trying to pick up his 34th save of the season. He leads the American League in that department. Bergman takes a pretty good rip.
Yeah, he does, but he's going after Hanke's high fastball, and I think he can overmatch him upstairs.
Two bullets.
That good fastball working for Hanke tonight. Old-fashioned country hardball. He said, here it is, let's go to work. I'll throw my best, you do your best. And Hanke won that confrontation. Pretty good pinch hitter, Dave Bergman.
What a matchup this will be. The power-hitting Kirk Gibson, who has a couple of hits tonight. He's got 22 home runs, and he can take you deep. Listen to these fans. There's a fastball for a strike. Fouls that back out of play. So Hanke ahead on the count. No balls, 2 strikes.
Gibson had a pitch in his zone right there.
Now the crowd is standing. They want to see Hanke strike out Gibson. And if he does, the Blue Jays will lead by a game and a half. He gets him. The Jays win it 4-3. And what a ball game this was tonight. A game and a half lead now for the Blue Jays over the Detroit Tigers. And Buck, this is just the first one. We've got 6 more to go against Detroit.
And you can bet they're all going to be just like this one. They're 2 great ball clubs matched up. There's a look at this current standings. Tom Hanke comes in for a 1-2-3 9th inning. Saves a game for Mike Flanagan, who had an outstanding effort.
But the big story tonight, Tony Fernandez broke a bone in his elbow. He has undergone an operation. Dr. Alan Gross, the doctor, he is out for the remainder of the season. A big blow to the Toronto Blue Jays, but they win the game 4-3. You're watching Labatt's Blue Jays baseball on TSN. 4-3. 4-3, the final score. And Buck Martinez, what'll it mean to the Blue Jays now that Tony Fernandez is out for the rest of the season?
Well, they're going to lose their number 3 hitter. He's performed so well in that 3 spot. Manny Lee should pick up the gap at shortstop. He's played outstanding here in the month of September. He really looks like he's settled in. It's a big win tonight, beating Jack Morris in the first game of the 4-game set in Toronto. Should have a lot to do with the momentum for the rest of the way here.
Morris now 18-10, and Flanagan the winner at 6-7. Stay tuned. We'll be back on Extra Innings with Detroit manager Sparky Anderson. You're watching Labatt's Blue Jays baseball on TSN. Labatt's Blue Jays Baseball has been brought to you by Petro-Canada Dealers and Agents. Our energy is Canada. And by General Motors of Canada, who says join us at the 1988 Calgary Winter Olympics. This has been a special presentation of the Sports Network, produced in association with TV Labatt and protected by copyright. Any use of this telecast without permission is prohibited. The final score, the Blue Jays beating Detroit 4-3 in the first game of this 4-game series. The winning pitcher, Mike Flanagan. The loser, Jack Morris. The Labatt's players of the game for Toronto, Ernie Witt, who'll receive the Hitachi DA400. And for Detroit, Jack Morris, who'll receive the Canon Sure Shot. As well, 2 amateur baseball teams will be the guest of Ernie Witt, Canon, and Hitachi at a future game. Major League Baseball next on TSN tomorrow night at 7:30 Eastern. The Expos and the Philadelphia Phillies. Then on Monday, September the 28th at 7:30 Eastern, we'll bring you the Blue Jays hosting the Milwaukee Brewers. Our baseball magic winner tonight, Brenda Filion of Cornwall, Ontario. Now, stay tuned for extra innings with our guest, manager Sparky Anderson. We'll be taking your calls in just a couple of minutes' time.